Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live once again is absolute baseball royalty, a three-time Cy Young Award winner, a three-time World Series winner, a six-time All-Star, four-time Gold Gloves, led the American League in wins three times, ERA twice. He's in the Orioles Hall of Fame, and, of course, in 1990, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The great Jim Palmer is with us once again. How are you? And it's great to see you out here in Sacramento.
I'm good. I'm not as good as we would have won because we've been playing pretty well. We came into last night's game and we won 9 out of the last 11. And, hey, Steve, you played long enough to know you play a team, doesn't matter what their record is.
Doesn't matter.
Can you beat them by a run? Can you, play better than they? And the A's, I met Denzel Clark on the field and I said, you should be in the NBA with that height and all that. And I said, I played with a guy, Paul Blair, that won 8 Gold Gloves. And I said, what you have in common, I know you haven't played as long as him, and it kind of jinxed him, I guess. I said, they both had great body awareness. You get to the wall and you go up. But that catch he made last night, saved the game, and was one of the more incredible catches you'll ever see.
Yeah. Jim, first of all, our fans, I want them to know how much I admired watching you play, and I used to run home from school and watch on TV when they had actually the playoffs during the day. And we were talking about this the other day, and you were in a lot of those games, and it was just so great. And then to see you now here and meet you is just
I was kind of wondering. I said, so you're a rookie of the year in 82?
Two, yeah.
But we played the Dodgers. They were up in Vero Beach. So you trained in Vero. So I pitched against Fernando in Miami, and I was wondering if you actually played that. We actually won we got 13 runs. I mean, obviously not all off of Fernando. It was a spring training game. And I'm kind of wondering, because I know Davey Lopes played that night and so on and so on.
I don't think we ever had gone against each
other.
Well,
here's the deal. It's funny. Everybody's talking about Jacob Wilson. I mean, boy, what a great start he's having this year. But he doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't walk a lot. You had you played 14 years, 5 of those years you walked more than you struck out?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. I was just going to ask you something about that, about pitching. Jim, I mean, now it seems everybody's hunting the bottom of the baseball. When we played, guys were more down through the middle, above the ball, got backspin on the ball. I mean, today, I can imagine with you and the way you love to pitch up in the strike zone, what would the opposing batting average hit off you, like maybe 50.50? Because they're all trying to hunt the bottom of the ball.
Well, yeah, I was blessed with a really good arm. I mean, I had – two-seamer, four-seamer, slider, curveball, changeup. There was a pretty good first baseman actually from Baltimore, Jim Spencer, who won some Gold Gloves. And I kept him from hitting 300 2 years in a row. And he was like, go for 32. And I'd see him. I'd be pitching on Wednesday. We'd be down in Texas. And he played for the Yankees, played for the White Sox. But we're in Texas, and he goes, I'm not swinging at that high fastball. Tuesday, he goes, I'm laying off that high fastball. Wednesday, I'd pitch, first high fastball, pop-up or whatever. So now I'm going for my 20th win. And Jim McKeon, the first base umpire, misses the call, and Mike Hargrove is safe instead of being out. So now, instead of me being ahead 2-1, it's 2-2. I'm in the 11th inning, and Jim Spencer was a low fastball hitter. So I throw him a fastball away, and he hits a little looper into left field. Now he's 1 for 33. So I look at him, and I go, do you want the ball? And he goes, you better not throw it over here. And, he played in our basketball team because I tried not to. Listen, my job was to get him out, not to show him up. So, hey, guy hit a home run and kind of showed me up. I only hit 38 guys in 4,000 innings, but those were usually the guys that I wanted to hit on purpose. And if I hit you in the knee, he's not throwing at me.
Yeah.
But getting hit in the knee hurts.
Yes,
as you know as well as anybody.
Absolutely.
The way you recall baseball is amazing. And the last time we had you on, Ray Fosse was with us, the great Ray Fosse, who we miss so much. And we just reminisced that day about the battles between the Athletics and the Orioles. And I know you remember so much about that. It was a big part of your career, but great battles that you had against this organization.
Well, they had really good teams, and if you could beat the A's, you could beat anybody. I mean, they had Campaneris, and they had Billy North one year that's, I think, stole 50-some bases. He was only there for a couple of years, but you had Joe Rudy, who was, saved World Series for him and so on. And then you had Reggie, and then you had Bando. The only game that Vita Blue ever won in the postseason was 74. It's the one year I didn't win 20 games in 9 years. I hurt my elbow. So we come back. We win 28 out of the last 34. We go 28-6. So now we're playing the A's, and I lose 1-0. And guess who hits the home run? Vita wins, only postseason win. And fourth inning, I go, I'm not going to get beat 1-0. And I went 3-2 on Sal, who was a really good player. I went to Arizona State with him, even though I was an undergraduate. He hits a home run down the left field line, and I lose 1-0. It's the only every game I lost in the postseason, with exception of one, I got shut out, and that was one of them. But yeah, the A's, they were the gold standard, and they won in 72, won in 73, won in 74. They beat us in the playoffs 73 and 74. But when it's like losing the Pirates in 71 and 79. You got Clemente, you got Stargell, you got Dave Parker's getting in the Hall of Fame this year. You don't mind losing to those teams? How many? I know you won, 81 and 88.
Right.
Did you play in any other World Series?
No.
Okay, so but getting there,
oh yeah,
even if you lose, is really nice. So listen, they're doing a nice job here. I came here when I did the Money Store ads. I did some stuff so I've always been at this ballpark. But hey, you got to play here for 2-3 years, whatever it is. Hey, make the best of it. I'm not sure I like to pitch here though. Wind blows out, the infield's hard. Not my, it's like playing on AstroTurf. We used to go to Kansas City, and they had Willie Wilson with 230 hits, and Brad on his way to 3,100 hits, and McRae, John Mayberry at 35 home runs. And I'd look around and I go, am I missing some of my fielders? So I would get the feeling here because, again, fast infield, ball flies. I was, it's Steve Stone once said when I came to Wrigley Field, boy, would you love to pitch here with the wind blowing out. So again, they're making the best out of it. And it looks like the fans are supporting them, and they really have a lot of good young players on this A team. So get the pitching straight, stay in ball games. That's the difference now. The Orioles are playing well. Our pitching kind of turned around. And when, our general manager in California said, hey, you ever seen a team go from here to there? I said, not when you have good pitching, because it's the one consistent.
Yeah, Jim, that's what I was going to ask you is, what is it with all this velocity and Tommy John surgeries? And I mean, you're a guy that threw extremely hard, but I bet you there were years you pitched well over 250 innings. How many complete games that you're probably 300. and so, I mean, no complete games now and 100 innings and you're out. I mean, what is it with this? Is it all about the how fast you can throw it, how much you can spin it? I thought it was getting people out.
Well, you guys know, I mean, you do your stats. So that if you go on Stats Pass, they tell you first time through the lineup, second time through the lineup, third time through the lineup. So, and then every once in a while, in my year, it would have been fourth time. So I understand if you have a good bullpen and you cannot go to the postseason, you cannot win a World Series if you don't have a good bullpen. But you tell me, guys train all year long. They're bigger, supposedly stronger. Why can't you get a guy out 3 times? Now, you want to learn about yourself? Go to Boston, face Fisk, Yaz, and Jim Rice in the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. You'll find out how smart you are. You'll find out what kind of heart you have. You'll find out if you can pitch first, what you said, throw. But again, they want to win games. We know that this baseball is now analytically driven. I would like all the information I could have, but if you're that good in whatever, why can't you get a guy out at least 3 times? Yeah. And again, I think it's because can you dance?
A little bit.
Okay. Can you sing?
No.
Okay. So if you were going to a Broadway audition, you'd probably say, okay, I'm going to tap dance for you. I'm going to ballet dance for you. I'm going to yodel. You're going to show them everything you have on that audition. That is a major league pitcher in the first inning. We were taught, hey, throw a guy a low and away fastball. See what he does. If he doesn't hit it, throw him another one. If he doesn't hit it, throw him another one. Now, if he gets a base hit, and you got up almost 7,500 times. You hit 280, 81 or something. Yep. You stole over 440 bases. I mean, you got a great career.
Man.
So anyway, if I throw you a low and away fastball and you hit it to right field, I want to find out that before I have runners at second and third in scoring position. If I try to strike you out the first time, which not easy because you didn't strike out very much, what do I do? How do I know really how I want to get you out? Some guy with your iPad telling me, oh, you can't hit a high fastball. Yeah. Well, Cincinnati, I started the 70 World Series. We had Cuellar with 24 wins, McNally with 23, both left-handers, and, really good left-handers. First 7 guys in the Cincinnati lineup that year were high fastball hitters. I raised my hand. I said, why am I starting the World Series against Cincinnati Reds? They go, not your high fastball. So the game is, hey, you got to find out. How do you find out? You get out on the mound. To your point, I pitched 190 innings in A-ball instructional league, walked 182 guys. It's a lot of walks. Next year I was in the big leagues because I got to pitch. Nowadays, they kind of baby people. I mean, 305, 315, 323, 25 complete games, 10 shutouts.
Whoa.
We got paid for that. So, you played behind Oral Hershiser.
Yeah.
Was he leaving the game in the ninth
Hell
inning?
no. No way.
Yeah. So, the game has changed. I understand. But if I had Mariano Rivera, I would have pitched 8 innings. I said, Mariano, here it is. Go get him, baby.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We had good relievers, but not Mariano. But again, you got paid for innings, paid for complete games. I won 20 games 4 straight years. When I hurt my elbow, I had to take a $5,000 pay cut.
Wow.
And I was only making $125,000. So the game is different.
Wow.
Well, speaking of analytics, we've had the author on of The Last Manager, the Earl Weaver book.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read the book.
Well, I helped him write it.
Okay. Well, interesting hearing about Earl Weaver, and his analytics came from his uncle, who was a bookmaker. Yeah. Did you guys know about this stuff about Earl Weaver and how much he paid attention from the gambling percentages and aspect of it?
No. But he had the Weaver cards were little 3x5 cards. Earl was the master of the negative positive. It'd be like you're going out to get Fisk and Yaz and Rice out with a 1-run lead. Now you got him out 3 times. It's 4-3, 3-2, whatever it is. Fenway Park, short porch and left. You'd be sitting there the whole inning, half inning, going, okay, I got him out this way, got him out that way, whatever. And as you were going out on the field, Earl would say, "Can't get beat till you walk somebody." Now that is a negative thought, but to him it was a positive thought because he didn't want you to walk anybody. It'd be like you were caddying for Tiger. Yep. Lake on the left. Tiger's got a 1-stroke lead in the U.S. Open. You're his caddy. You go, Tiger, whatever you do, don't hit it in that lake there on the left. So that was Earl Weaver. But, Earl had the stats. They weren't current like they are now. But, okay, so we had 4 20-game winners in 1971. Would you have liked to manage the team? Let's see, which 20-game winners should I start tonight? So Earl had, he was a very good manager. He came through our organization, A-ball, AA, AAA. We had really good teams, and he continued that. And, the interesting thing, he came at the All-Star break of 68, managed all the way to 1980 with a 1-year deal, 109 wins, 108 wins. And the interesting thing about and you went through it, I didn't have a long-term deal. So every time Earl, it was a love-hate relationship because, he always wanted me to do better, and I was pretty good as it was. But he gave me the ball every 4th day for all those years, trusted me that I would go out and pitch well, or Cuellar, or McNally, or Flanagan, or McGregor, Dennis Martinez, who won over 245 games, and he would keep his job. And that's the way the game was. No guaranteed contracts for either Earl or us, but again, how'd you earn your money? Just went out and played well. So, game, again, we all know the game's changed, and that's fine, but understand it, respect it, realize how lucky you are to be able to make the kind of money. I mean, I've been reading about Luis Severino is going to pitch tonight, and I guess he doesn't like it, so he can't go sit in the air conditioning. Now, didn't he get $67 million deal?
Yes.
Okay, so I read today in the Baltimore paper, Derrick Henry, 79 yards short of 2,000. He signed a 2-year deal for $30 million. The second best running back. What do you think's harder, pitching every 5th day, or trying to
bang with those,
and then go to the playoffs, play maybe 20 games? Weighing 245 pounds and all that. So here's the deal. Just know how blessed you are. Go out there, have a good time, which is all, and you played on the same kind of teams. Boy, the Dodgers played well. We played well. You come to the ballpark, you never think you're going to win, but you expect to win if you do the right things.
Yeah. Jim, I got to ask you, people talk about how important it is with the defense up the middle, being strong defensively up the middle. We saw the play that Denzel Clark made the other day really saved the game. I wanted to ask you if you could describe a little bit about Mark Belanger. He was a teammate of mine as well, late in my career when he came over to the Dodgers. And I know you played a lot of years with Mark. How good was this guy at shortstop?
He was really good. We played in Aberdeen, South Dakota for Cal Ripken's dad, and we were 80-37. Blade, we called him Blade because he was 169 pound. On Sunday when we would weigh in, he'd go on the scale first because he never ever weighed anything but 169 pounds. He won 8 Gold Gloves.
Yeah,
and
he never wore a cup.
No, I said that on the air last night. He's one of the few infielders, but he had such great hands. He didn't feel the need
that,
to.
Townie?
No,
he didn't wear. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
That's gambling.
No. So,
how about gambling?
Yeah,
not when you have those kind of hands.
But
the one thing he never did? Dove for a ball.
That's
nor
right.
did Paul Blair.
Never saw him do
Paul Blair never dove for a ball.
That's interesting.
They said you didn't need to do it. So,
Joe DiMaggio never did. Yeah.
Blade had one great offensive year. If we did not let Charlie Lau go to Kansas City, he was our hitting instructor, for a $5,000 raise, he got Mark to hit 287 because Blade was so good with a glove. Jimmy Fry went on to manage and be our hitting instructor. He'd go, let's go hit. No, I feel fine. Now, Charlie would say, no, you don't. He would grab his uniform, drag him out to the field. And if that's the case, Blade probably would have been in Cooperstown. He was that good a defensive player. Wow. Not to mention the fact he was the best basketball player in Massachusetts. So if you wanted to see his varsity team played, you had to go to the JV game because they sold out every time. So remarkable athlete. Wow. And again, the way you get to the Hall of Fame is to have players like that playing with you and not against you. So, yeah, he was a terrific glove. And my first shortstop, Louis Aparicio, he wasn't too bad either. He's in the Hall of Fame. And then I had another Hall of Famer, Cal Ripken, as my the other shortstop before I retired. So you want to win a lot of games, have good players playing behind you.
Let's end on this. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, it's always a special time. I got to go back in '99 to the induction ceremony, which was Nolan Ryan, George Brett, Robin Yount, Orlando Cepeda, and to see all of you guys on the stage. And the night before the dinner where you guys all come in the trolleys and everything. I mean, just that weekend is so special. What is it like for you, one of the greats, to be with all the greats where you guys come back together one time a year?
Well, I got him with Joe Morgan, who won a couple of MVPs, dominant player in the National League, little Joe. So the night we got rained out, only time in the history of the Hall of Fame on Sunday. Now they're going to do it in an auditorium. So as you know, they had the induction. You come back to the hotel, you give out the Hall of Fame rings. You used to have the league presidents. Now you have the Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. So, all the Hall of Famers get together and all that kind of stuff. And so we're in there and everybody's talking and, whatever. And it's just a really special time. So Ted Williams grabs the microphone and Stan Musial, Stan the Man, 3,630 hits, one of the great players of all time. He had illness, and Ted says, boy, it's great to see you're back, and we hope you're well. And right then I realized I am really part of a special fraternity. And my last couple of words, of my speech, I said the only reason I tried, and you probably went through this too, the only reason I tried to be as good as I was is because the guys sat behind me. They set these impeccably high standards, whether it was complete games. I remember Robin Roberts, who eventually would have 286 wins when I was 19. He was twice my age. He mentored me, knew I'd take his job. But the reason I tried to be as good as I was because of these guys, So, what I said was, you pay more for less. What do you get? So as well as I do, and you play for great managers. You play, But do we have a moment for? Okay.
So I just don't want to keep you too long.
No.
I could do this all day.
Okay. Wait. So, did you ever play for Lasorda?
Lasorda, yeah. 8-9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you come back, it's one of the great stories. It's just happened. So you come back and, they take the team picture, the wives on one side, and because we don't get along with our wives. And then you go and you have the players on the other side with Lake Oswego in the background. Then you come up, they have some hors d'oeuvres and cocktails, and then you go in for the dinner. So I walk in, and first table right here, here's Tommy Lasorda. So he said, hey, why don't you sit with us? So I sit down, and all of a sudden, here comes Yogi Berra. Here comes Whitey Ford.
Oh, man.
Here comes Duke Snyder.
Wow.
And another New Yorker that played when DiMaggio and Mantle played, Willie Mays.
Wow.
Now, I'm sitting there, and I'm going, I'm not going to have to say a word. So Tommy, they serve the salad, and Tommy looks over at Yogi, and he says, hey, they just had Tommy Lasorda Day at Dodger Stadium. They know I love the Dodgers. They gave me a Dodger blue tombstone, and my face etched with a little tear because I love the Dodgers. Yogi, what do you want on your tombstone? And Yogi goes, Tom, it's easy. It's over. Not rehearsed. This is not going on the Letterman or the Tonight Show or Jay Leno. What do you want? So Whitey Ford, who was one of the great left-handed pitchers, won 25 games one year. He says, if you think that's something, 2 weeks ago we had Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium, and they'd really do a nice job. So they're showing from Miller Huggins to Gehrig to Ruth to, Mantle and Thurman Munson and, all the great Yankees that have died. And Yogi's standing there with Don Mattingly to his left and Whitey to his right. And Yogi looks at Don Mattingly and he says, Donnie, I sure hope I never see my picture up there. and that's was Yogi Berra. So to be able to not only be part of that club, so to speak, and I grew up in New York. I mean, I could have been a Dodger fan. I could have been no offense, I could have been a Yankee fan, or a Giant fan. I love the Yankees, and I was, I think I was 30 and 16 lifetime, because when I was 9 years old, my dad, just like Billy Crystal and City Slickers, he took me to Yankee Stadium before color television. And when I walked through that tunnel at 9 years old and it rained a little bit, I never realized how green the grass was. And that's kind of what Major League Baseball is. I mean, it's different now. And Billy's talked about that in City Slickers. He said, the greatest day ever. And I said, yeah, Billy. And I met him at a fundraiser. And I said, the difference is you didn't come in 10 years later when you were 19, strike out Mantle, Maris, and Elston Howard with the bases loaded, like I had the chance to do. So, again, I mean, I grew up as a kid. I'm sure you probably did the same thing. You dreamed about being a major league. You played with the Dodgers, one of the great organizations. I got to play with a team. I was there from 65 to 84, had the best winning percentage in baseball.
Yep.
And again, it's a gift. And, you got to do the work. You got to luck out, because I was a year before the draft. My parents, they always told me, get an education, work hard, never let anybody work you, and pick the right team, and you might have a great career. And it really turned out that way.
Well, speaking of a gift, it's always a gift to have you on A's Cast Live. You're so generous with your time. A baseball legend, truly one of the greats of all time. We hope you broadcast forever and you keep on coming out.
That's up to the Orioles, but that's a whole nother story. No, listen. I enjoy doing it. The one thing, Steve, you probably say it too. The game looks pretty easy on television sometimes, and I even broadcast when I played. And I think the one thing I want people to realize, when a guy hangs a curveball, you don't know he's going to hang it. And when he pops it up, or you throw a ball down the middle, or you make an error, that's baseball. Yeah. So, again, I'm just happy to be around it. I think it does keep you young, and I know it keeps your mind young.
Yeah.
I sat next to a guy that did Learning Symposium. I said, if I stop broadcasting, so I'm going to be 80 in October. This is 10 years ago. I said, if I stop broadcasting, how long till my brain to turn into a melon? He says, I'll give you 18 months. So I'm going to broadcast as long as I can. But thank you. Thanks for having with me.
Truly one of the greatest of all time, the great Jim Palmer, right here on A's Cast Live.